Walking into Costco, looking for your familiar favorite, only to freeze because it's completely gone? No announcement, no explanation, just a tiny asterisk on the price tag, and poof, the product vanishes into memory. In 2025, this is no longer an isolated incident. A host of items once considered staples in American shopping carts are quietly disappearing from Costco. From classic foods, premium spices, and plant-based milk to childhood favorite pastries. Here are 12 products you'll never see again in 2025, and the reasons behind it might surprise you. Subscribe to the channel to get notified of the latest videos.
Wow! Wow!
12 food court items. Costco's food court is seen as an iconic stop. It's a place every member instinctively visits before leaving the store. The smell of hot pizza, a large, inexpensive soda, and the familiar hot dog all create a sense of familiarity that many consider a part of the Costco experience. But this seemingly unchangeable area is now shifting in a way that is eroding customer trust. Some items once considered essential have been quietly removed. Pepsi's disappearance from the soda fountain is just the tip of the iceberg. Healthier options like the rotisserie chicken salad have also left the menu, forcing those who relied on a quick yet light meal to rethink their habits. What frustrates customers isn't just the vanishing food items. It's the feeling that values maintained for many years are gradually being replaced. The food court once represented stability and enduring value. Now, it clearly reflects Costco's changes, almost without warning. Customers are starting to realize that even the things they thought were most certain can be left behind overnight. 11. The book section. Costco's book section used to feel like a peaceful pause amidst a vast shopping trip. It wasn't noisy or chaotic. It was just a humble corner where someone could stop, flip through a few pages, admire a beautifully presented cookbook, or pick out a small gift for a child. It was never a major revenue driver. However, it helped maintain a rhythm, making the shopping experience more harmonious and pleasant. The removal of the book section from regular inventory has left many customers feeling disappointed. For many, it was a rare moment to touch fresh, ink-scented pages, to unexpectedly discover a new title, or simply to be reminded of a reading habit they had neglected. Losing this section isn't just losing a product, it's losing a feeling. The shelves that once held a bit of tranquility are now replaced with clothing or home goods. This change makes many realize that what they value about Costco isn't just the prices. It's also the small experiences that create a connection. When the book section disappeared, that warm feeling also left. What remains is a hard-to-fill void during each visit. 10. Pepsi and related sodas. Among the most debated changes, the quiet departure of Pepsi and its related sodas from the food court is perhaps the detail that has left many most bewildered. Not because a glass of soda holds special value, but because for many years, the image of a Pepsi connects to a hot dog or a slice of pizza had become a strange but deeply familiar habit for millions of members. This change isn't simply a switch from one beverage brand to another. It touches on the sense of stability that shoppers always expect from Costco. When customers return and realize their familiar taste is gone, what they regret isn't necessarily the flavor. It's the feeling that a part of their shopping memory has been cut out without any prior notice. From a business perspective, a new contract might be logical. But from a customer's viewpoint, this is an inexplicable void. These seemingly minor choices raise a larger question. What else they are familiar with is about to disappear? Pepsi left, but its lingering effect is that shoppers realize even the things they believed would remain constant can change with a silent decision. 9. Mix and match muffins. Among the seemingly small but most annoying changes, Costco's discontinuation of the mix and match muffin option is a prime example. For many families, 2 trays of muffins with 2 different flavors wasn't just a convenient choice. It was a way to keep the peace at breakfast. A chocolate tray for those who preferred a rich taste, a blueberry tray for those who favored a lighter one. No one had to compromise. No one had to accept something they didn't like. When Costco forced customers to buy a full tray of a single flavor, that sense of flexibility vanished. Suddenly, a product that once brought joy became a calculated decision. To please everyone at home, shoppers had to buy two identical trays, which was more expensive, resulted in more leftovers, and sometimes resulted in more waste. The point isn't that people are angry because the muffins changed flavor. They regret that their right to choose has been narrowed without a clear reason. Muffins used to be a delightful item on every Costco visit. Picking up a tray brought a little bit of joy. Now, that act has lost its inherent excitement, not because the muffins are bad, but because the experience surrounding them is no longer the same. Small changes like these, when accumulated over time, make customers realize that what they value isn't just the product. It's the feeling of being free to choose what suits them without much thought. 8. Kirkland Ultra Clean Laundry Detergent. Kirkland Ultra Clean Laundry Detergent was considered one of Costco's most reliable products. It wasn't flashy or heavily advertised. It was simply a laundry detergent that offered a reasonable price, large volume, mild scent, and, notably, consistent cleaning power to the extent that many families considered it their default choice for years. Its disappearance, therefore, creates a much larger void than a typical household product. Shoppers were surprised not only by the product's discontinuation, but also by how it left. No announcement, no explanation. The shelves that were always fully stocked suddenly became empty. This left customers both confused and regretful, because once a familiar item at Costco disappears, the likelihood of its return is almost zero. The absence of Kirkland Ultra Clean forces many families to switch to more expensive brands that may not be as suitable. And that's what makes people uncomfortable. A product associated with stability in daily life suddenly disappears, leaving the feeling that one's routine can be disrupted at any moment. For many, Ultra Clean wasn't just a laundry detergent. It represented the core value they believed Costco provided: reliability, durability, and when such a product disappears, a sense of absence almost immediately appears in their familiar daily routines. 7. Maldon Sea Salt. Maldon sea salt is one of those small secrets that many home cooks quietly cherish. It's not an expensive spice, nor is it heavily advertised, but just a pinch of its thin, crispy, slow-dissolving crystals on the tongue is enough to elevate an ordinary dish into a more complete experience. For those who love to cook, Maldon isn't just salt. It's the feeling of meticulously caring for their meal in the most refined way. Costco's discontinuation of this product is therefore not just a change in merchandise. It touches the emotions of those who were accustomed to finding Maldon at a much more affordable price than in specialty stores. When the salt shelves were empty, many customers only then realized they had taken Maldon's presence at Costco for granted, and that moment disappeared so quickly that many weren't prepared. Market prices immediately surged. Home cooks who had grown used to its easy accessibility now have to consider more carefully each time they want to repurchase. Not because they don't want to spend more, but because they miss the convenience and value that Costco once provided. Maldon left Costco, but what remains in customers' minds is the realization that even small but meaningful items in the kitchen can disappear unexpectedly. And sometimes, that absence reveals a level of attachment that they themselves didn't realize they had. Comment number 1 and like this video, and I'll reveal something even more shocking. 6. Kirkland Signature Soy Milk. Kirkland Signature soy milk was a familiar choice on many families' shopping lists. It wasn't a prominent item, or one that made a strong impression on the shelves, but it was consistently reliable, easy to drink, moderately priced, and always available when needed. For those who wanted to avoid cow's milk or sought a light drink for breakfast, tossing a few cartons of soy milk into their cart had become almost a natural reflex. The sudden disappearance of this product creates an indescribable sense of emptiness. Costco stated that demand decreased, but reality showed the opposite. Many customers went through 3 or 4 warehouses just to find a few remaining cartons. When a product is truly loved, that reaction speaks volumes more than any data sheet. Those who use this product due to nutritional needs, habit, or allergies suddenly have to cope with more expensive or less suitable options. And that's when they realized that the stability Kirkland soy milk previously provided was more important than they thought. This product left Costco shelves quietly, but the void it left behind is very clear. Not because this was a special carton of milk, but because in a busy life, familiar and reliable things like this are what help everything run more smoothly every day. 5. Mini Cinnamon Rolls. Costco's mini cinnamon rolls were a small pastry that many considered a gentle treat for themselves. Not overly prominent on the shelf, not a product that created a buzz, but for those who ever brought home a tray still warm with the scent of cinnamon, it was a simple joy they always looked forward to on every visit to the store. The disappearance of this pastry not only makes customers miss the familiar sweet and soft taste, it makes them realize that what makes Costco special are sometimes the least noticed products. Mini cinnamon rolls weren't essential, but they were items that made a long day more pleasant. It was the feeling of opening the pastry tray, enjoying a small roll, and smiling because everything seemed a little lighter. When the asterisk appeared on the price tag, many rushed to buy a few trays to stock their freezers, as if wanting to preserve a part of their memory before it completely vanished. What they cherished wasn't just the pastry, it was the feeling of indulging themselves with something small without needing a reason. Mini cinnamon rolls left Costco, leaving a void that isn't large but is very clear. A reminder that sometimes it's the small details that create a customer's loyalty to a place they trust. And when those things are gone, the familiar experience also changes. 4. Kirkland Signature Chocolate Chips. Kirkland's signature chocolate chips weren't just a baking ingredient. For many families, they were present in countless afternoon cookie baking sessions, in batches of brownies sent with kids to school, or in homemade cakes for loved ones' birthdays. Their disappearance, therefore, doesn't just impact cooking habits, but also the very ordinary moments that this product helped create. What surprised customers most wasn't a change in quality or recipe. It was its quiet departure from the shelves. Just a small asterisk was enough to indicate that the product wouldn't return. And when that news spread, many rushed to gather the last few bags as if to hold on to something familiar before it was too late. For them, Kirkland's chocolate chips weren't a random choice. They were a reliability built over years of baking. The absence of this product forces home bakers to switch to other brands that are more expensive and sometimes less consistent. This not only increases costs for families who bake frequently, it also takes away the peace of mind they had, knowing they could always rely on a familiar ingredient. When a humble product like chocolate chips disappears, what remains isn't just the disappointment of the cook. It's the feeling that things connected to daily life and family memories can also be changed by a very small decision. And that feeling is what's hardest to replace. 3. Biscoff Cookies. Biscoff cookies are a treat that makes many people smile right in the aisles of Costco. Not a luxury cookie, but one that evokes a strangely familiar feeling. Their light caramel flavor, perfect crispness, and distinctive aroma once found on flights were now sold in large boxes at an affordable price. For many families, they were cookies for tea time, for a lazy afternoon, or simply to carry in a bag when a little sweetness was needed throughout a long day. As Biscoff boxes gradually disappeared from the shelves, the sense of disappointment came much faster than expected. This wasn't a product people bought every week, but it was a product they always trusted Costco to have when they needed it. Its absence made customers realize that things they assumed were always available are sometimes more fragile than they thought. There was no announcement, no explanation, just empty shelves and the bewildered looks of those who came back looking for them. The disappearance of a familiar cookie doesn't change anyone's life, but it changes the feeling customers have toward a place they trust. And this feeling is what's hardest to deal with, because with simple cookies like Biscoff, the true value isn't in the large packaging or the savings. It lies in the peace of mind that when you need a little warmth for the afternoon, Costco still has that option for you. Now, with With those cookie boxes gone, the sense of absence is very small, but very real. A familiar corner on the shelf disappeared, taking with it a small habit that many didn't realize they were so attached to. 2. Crown maple syrup. Crown maple syrup is one of those products that made many people feel Costco understood them better than they thought. Among countless maple syrup options on the market, this brand stood out for its clean, clear, subtle flavor and consistent quality. These amber-colored syrup bottles weren't just for breakfast. They were present at weekend brunches, in pancakes Dad made for the kids, or in iced coffees sweetened just right. When Crown maple syrup began to disappear from the shelves, many only then realized they had grown accustomed to finding it on every visit. Not because it was a cheap product, but because Costco had made it accessible, allowing many families to use a premium syrup at a more reasonable price than anywhere else. It was the feeling of elevating meal quality without hesitation. It's not just that the prices of alternative brands are higher, but also that Crown Maple's consistency is hard to find an equivalent for. When a familiar item disappears without warning, customers don't just lose an option. They lose the peace of mind of knowing they had found the right product and didn't need to experiment further. Many regret not having the luxury of maple syrup, but how it had woven itself into the simple moments of life. And when such a product leaves Costco, people feel as though something small but precious in their routine has been taken away, gently but with a profound emptiness. 1. Household and personal care product lines. Among the quiet shifts happening at Costco, the household and personal care product categories are perhaps the least noticed by shoppers, yet they impact daily life the most. Large bottles of Pantene shampoo, cases of lightly flavored Bywater, or hygiene and body care items that were once familiar in shopping carts are no longer consistently appearing. Some bear an asterisk, some vanish after a single price change. When a shampoo bought for years is no longer in its usual spot, customers don't just spend time finding new options. They feel as if the stability in their home is disrupted. Because these products aren't items shoppers constantly try. They are items that have passed the selection stage, and because they are suitable, they are committed to long-term. Replacements are often inadequate. Some similar items are significantly more expensive, while others don't meet equivalent quality. As a result, customers have to experiment again from scratch and sometimes pay more to receive less. And it's that feeling that makes them regret the time when buying basic products didn't require so much thought. The feeling that the place they trusted could meet even the smallest needs of life. This change, though subtle, affects every moment of daily life that users had taken for granted for years. The disappearance of seemingly familiar products reminds us that Costco is not a place of constants. Every small asterisk can be a farewell to a habit, a convenience, or a very ordinary joy. And it is these quiet changes that make customers realize that what they value most is not just good prices, but the peace of mind they feel every time they step into the warehouse they trust. Did this video help you? Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers.